Tuesday, Alabama voters heading back to the polls to vote in the Republican runoff for the U.S. Senate seat vacated by Jeff Sessions. A battle between Senator Luther Strange, who was appointed to the seat by former Governor Robert Bentley, who resigned after the scandal, and former Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore, drawing national attention and some big names. So let's talk about it with political analyst Steve Flowers. Steve, what a campaign we have brewing here in this state. But before we get to some of the details, talk to me about what you're seeing in the polls.
All the polls, and the most important one, August 15th, had Moore out in front 6 or 7 points. And the early polls showed him breaking to a large lead. I do think as much money has been spent by the Strange campaign or the people proponents who are Strange out of Washington. I think the gap is closed, although I do think Moore has a lead.
Moore still has a lead. Let's take this thing one at a time. Luther Strange getting some presidential support. The president moved it up one day. Big deal now, right?
Well, they've called in all the big stops, and it's just going to be a real interesting last week. Not only is Trump coming, but Pence is coming Monday to Birmingham, and Trump's going to be in Huntsville Friday. But even more importantly, they spent $5 more million in this runoff.
Yeah, you talked about Pence coming. That's going to happen on Monday, as you said, stomping for Luther Strange. Washington Report insiders really pulling out the big stops. The Republicans pulling out all the guns right now.
I've never seen anything like it. However, this is the only race in town in Washington, being a special election, which brings us to an interesting point, Art. This is a special election, which means that the real polling is not as accurate as the final poll will be, because only a certain number of people are going to show up to vote on a special election on September the 26th. The same was true on August 15th when you had only 18% turnout. You probably will have as low as 12% next Tuesday, because it's just a special election. They've got to want to go vote.
Right.
And so therefore the polling, even if it shows Moore is in front, becomes more favorable to Moore because his people are more ardent.
Okay, let's continue to walk through this. Let's talk about Roy Moore's endorsement. Former presidential vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin coming tomorrow. Does that matter to the people of Alabama?
Historically, endorsements have not mattered to Alabamians. Trump has been a unique animal in this thing. He remains popular in the state, and I'm convinced that Trump's endorsement of Strange in the first primary helped him 3 to 4 points. It may do the same this time.
Moore also getting the endorsement of his former opponent, Congressman Mo Brooks, supporting Moore as well. Being a sitting congressman, that should help him, you would think, huh?
Well, it'll help him because that's where the turnout was larger in the Tennessee Valley, where Mo Brooks is the congressman. And Mo Brooks got a pretty good vote. He got 20% statewide, as opposed to Luther Strange's 33%. And at one time, he was going to make the runoff rather than Strange. But there was a larger turnout in Huntsville than the rest of the state, besides Walker County, who had a special election over there. But Brooks carried that county in the first primary 51 to the Moore and Strange about 25. So I think the Brooks endorsement does help Moore up there in Huntsville, because Huntsville folks are more attuned to federal politics than the rest of the state, because their economy is geared toward federal money.
All right, got to let that be the last word this morning. Steve, thanks a lot. We always enjoy talking to you. Of course,